Hi, I'm Paris, and 5 years ago I was diagnosed with stage 3 prostate cancer, and I can tell you that over these 5 years it doesn't get any easier when you go in for an exam, a follow-up test, a blood test to see how the numbers are. Waiting on the results doesn't get any easier. And my numbers, which having prostate cancer is the PSA measurement in the blood test, had been behaving itself very well all the way through the 3 years that I was on Lupron, which kept my testosterone down to about 0. But I went off of that about 1.5 years ago to see what would happen if the chemo, the radiation, the 3 years of testosterone did the job to get rid of the cancer. And the only way to know that was to conduct an experiment on me. Take me off the last of the treatments for cancer and see what happens. Now, I did not have surgery to remove my prostate. If you don't have a prostate, that blood test, testing for the PSA, the only thing in your body that's going to produce PSA is your prostate. If it's removed, your number should be 0. Now, most of the time that I was on Lupron, keeping my testosterone down to about 0, my PSA was down to 0 because my prostate, well, it was in a coma. It had been hit with chemo, radiation, and 3 years of starvation. So when they took me off the Lupron, it was expected that as my testosterone came back up, the prostate would wake back up, and so my PSA numbers should go up. But then it's a question of interpretation. So my oncologist and I had talked about this, and we had a plan. It should come up slowly and level off somewhere under 1.0, and then my oncologist would be happy and I would be happy. And so I was in every 3 months for my PSA to be tested, and it finally did come up from 0. I think it went to 0.10, 0.18, 0.25, then 0.30, and this was after just over a year. The idea was that it should get up to where it was going to go and level off within a year. So we waited another 3 months and it went from 0.30, 0.33. And again, now it's even less. It only went up 0.03. Insignificant, I think, but it's not how an oncologist sees it. An oncologist sees it as you went from 0.30 to 0.33. That's a 10% increase in just 3 months. So I thought, nah, it's just the prostate, coming back to life. And I had a clue about that in that the prostate, in addition to producing PSA in your blood, it actually produces a material. And so judging by the volume of that, you can have a sense of how active your prostate is. So it made sense to me. This was just my prostate coming back to life with the testosterone to fuel it so that it would do its normal thing. But my oncologist said she wasn't comfortable waiting another 3 months to see. She said, there's a chance maybe there's a few cells in a lymph node that we missed with the radiation or something, so we want to find that quickly. She didn't make it into being a whole big thing, but it planted the seed in my mind of, is this coming back? I was still sure that it wasn't, that the numbers could still be explained without involving cancer. But she wanted me to go have a PSMA PET scan, which is where they inject you with some kind of everything's radioactive in medicine, some kind of radioactive stuff that they then can look at and see if the spot glows. That means that has been taken up into those cells. So we scheduled the appointment for that. It was going to take a couple weeks to do it. And I really tried not to worry too much about it, but the seeds were in there growing. And then a couple days after the scan was done, see on my phone, it's the oncologist office calling, and they told me it's not clear. The radiologist sees something maybe. It's a faint image in the prostate itself. And so, God, you don't want to see anything. So the good news, such as it is, was that, okay, there's something maybe, but at least it doesn't show any evidence of having spread. It's still in that same original location. But once they called me with those scan results, then it was a 180 flip from I'm sure it's not cancer and that it's just the regular prostate coming back to I'm sure it is. So just like that, I went from optimistic about it to completely pessimistic and, all right, going on Google, what am I going to have to do if they find, it's come back? Do I go for more radiation, chemo? Do I have to do all the treatments that I've done over the past 5 years, starting from scratch, basically all over again? And lots of stuff went through my head. The first couple days after getting that news, I considered, do I want to spend the next 5 years the way I've spent the past 5 years, basically my life revolving around trying to get past this illness? But I didn't stay in that frame of mind too long. When I originally got the diagnosis and looked at all the treatment options and decided about things, I came to the conclusion that what I really wanted to have was immunotherapy, because I think that's going to end up being what takes care of cancer for everybody eventually, once they get the technology for it, where they basically train your own immune system to seek out and destroy the cancer cells. So then you've got 24/7 everywhere in the body surveillance going on. It's your own body doing what it should have done in the first place, which is catch those cancer cells and get rid of them before they can build a tumor and have all its defenses and trick your body and so forth. So my original goal when I got the cancer diagnosis 5 years ago and didn't know what stage it was, what to expect, was I want to stick around until they develop that technology where you can get like a vaccine against your cancer and that clears it up, because that's the way of the future. So that's what I'm hanging in there to get. So I decided that hasn't changed. I thought by now, 5 years later, they would have the technology, but not quite yet. Maybe a couple, 3 more years. So, all right, whatever treatment they recommend, I'll just resign myself to making the best of it. So in my mind, I already have a recurrence of the cancer and I'm already deciding on the treatments and getting in the right mindset. All of this when I haven't really got a diagnosis yet, just a suggestion that there's something there. So I was sent for an MRI of the prostate with and without contrast, and that's to give a detailed view of it. And so that was another week or so waiting to get that appointment, but I wasn't really worried about it because I already knew what it was going to show. So I trudged down to the MRI center at 7 in the morning and let's get this over with. Now normally the scan results seem to take 2-3 days to come out, and then it takes a day or two before my oncologist gets back to me about it. This time it was the next day that the oncologist office called me. And so that just, when I saw the number on the phone, why would they be calling me so quickly except to say, all right, we need to get you back into treatment. But no, the reading of the MRI showed some abnormality in the back of the prostate, but at the moment, we don't see any cancer, which totally shocked me. I was not prepared to hear that. I mean, I should have been more elated, but I was like, that can't be right. But she said, following that, she said something about, it was very medical jargony about basically something related to residual side effects from the treatments for the cancer. Basically what it ended up being is the treatment, the radiation treatment most likely damaged the prostate with radiation burns like I got in the bladder and the rectum as well. And so there's damaged tissue, scar tissue in there. And that can give that faint image with the PSMA scan, I guess, of something similar to as if there was a little bit of cancer in there. But when they went in looking at the detail of everything with the MRI, turns out that's not what it was. So it was decided that it was a residual artifact from the cancer treatments. And basically, so that's your news, and go back to every 3 months, come in for the PSA scan, and get back on that treadmill of every 3 months, seeing what the numbers will do. But for now, we're good. So I still haven't gotten my head around what's very good news, I guess because my mindset was so sure what the other news was going to be. So I'm trying to adjust my expectations accordingly and get on with life and not keep the focus of my life around the cancer. Well, it's not cancer treatment anymore. Now it's just cancer anxiety, I guess. But Okay, every 3 months I got a Google Calendar entry and I've got to go in and do that. But the other 89 days of that period, I'm not going to be thinking about it. I'm going to be out doing other things. And I will make a point of being back in town to go in to get that test, because I'm going to go out of town and do some stuff. But I'll be back, take the test. I'm sure it's going to be fine, just like I was sure it was fine. And I was right about this most recent cancer scare. I realize how wasteful it is of life to focus my time and energy on cancer being the thing that has to be the center of it all. It's hard not to let it be, and in kind of a superstitious way as well, that if I take my eye off it and don't pay close attention to it, that's when the stuff comes and gets you. So hard as it is, and it seems weird to say, but hard as it is to let go of that illness focus, it's what I'm going to do. I'm sure you've noticed the news about the tariffs and all of this thing. So I found a number of people have gone and made impulse purchases of something that you thought, well, it gives me an excuse to buy it because, you know, the price could go up 30-40%. I better buy it now. So I made one of those purchases, something to get me out of the small, limited world of focusing on illness and get out there. I'm pointing at the window. Get out there outside to be doing the things that I want to do. I'll tell you about that in another video when it arrives, and let's hope they don't end up increasing the price 30-40% before they end up delivering it to me. I think you'll be surprised, but I've made the decision. I want the big scary world instead of the small illness world where at least you sort of feel safe. I've got 5 years of missing out on that to make up for, so I'll see you out there on the next review.
There are so many choices and you don't want to stress. You want your health food at home, receiving only the best. That's what we're here for, we give honest reviews. Paris DX.